Welcome to the Speechie Show. Being a speech-language pathologist often means having too much work and not enough planning time. To beat the overwhelm, we're bringing you the tricks and tools that will make your job a little bit easier. Everybody, and welcome to the Speechie Show. I'm Carrie Clark from speechandlanguagekids.com. And I am here today with Melanie Potock from MyMunchBug.com. Thank you so much for joining us, Melanie.
Hi, Carrie.
Hello. All right, so we are talking today about picky eaters. So if you are a parent of picky eaters or a speech-language pathologist with a caseload of picky eaters, stay tuned with us today. We're going to share the 3 E's on how to encourage a child to try new foods who is a picky eater. If you're new to the show, my name is Carrie Clark. I am from speechandlanguagekids.com, and this is the Speechie Show. We come on once a week, we hang out with a speech-language pathologist, and we share some tips to help you with a very specific speech or language or feeding problem, and get some good giveaways at the end. So if you're joining us on Facebook Live, stay tuned for the giveaways here in a moment. And as we're getting started and everyone's rolling in, go ahead and type in the comments where you're joining us from today. We'd like to see where everyone is. All right, Melanie, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about what you have going on over at My Munch Bug.
I'd love to. One thing probably all the listeners need to know is we're having a little bit of a delay, and so if I pause for a second, I not only am I processing, as speech therapists know, but I'm also just waiting for the conversation to finish on your end, so bear with me. My name's Melanie Potok, and I'm a speech-language pathologist, but my specialty is feeding. So I want kids who have trouble eating, and either it's a child who's just kind of that garden variety picky eater that's also common. As a matter of fact, if you look on the American Speech Language Hearing Association's website, you'll see that 25 to 45% of typically developing children will have feeding difficulties. That's how common it is.
Wow.
Or whether I'm working with a child with autism, or perhaps a child with Down syndrome, or maybe it's just a premature baby who's really having trouble moving through what we call the developmental process of feeding. That's what I get to do. I'm all about kids and food, and I'm an author of 4 books on the topic that we'll be talking about in a little bit. And also an international speaker on feeding therapy. And
Wonderful. All right, we had a little bit of a technical problem there. Sorry, everybody, but we're going to try to push through and get this get this interview to work. We lost just a little bit at the end, but we heard that you are an author and you are a speaker as well.
Terrific. If there's anything I can fill in, you just let me know, but we can certainly just get to the good stuff, which is, gosh, how do you help kids learn to eat?
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, we have a couple people joining us. We've got someone from Florida. Oh, a couple from Florida, actually. Wonderful. So welcome, everyone. We hope you're able to get this good information. Hopefully the technical problems won't hold us up too much. All right, so we're going to go ahead and share the 3 E's that are the ways that you're going to be able to encourage a child who is a picky eater to be able to try new foods and get through that process. So the first E that we're going to talk about today is expose. So Melanie, talk to us about what expose means for the 3 E's.
Absolutely. So the 3 E's is a concept I coined a few years ago. And the very first E is expose. Expose means that we provide opportunities for kids to just get to know, like, let's say vegetables. That's always the big one, right? Get to know vegetables, for example. They're making friends with vegetables. It's their first play date with vegetables. So that might include gardening, going to the produce aisle, going to the farmer's market. It might include just being exposed to vegetables via picture books. Actually, there's good research that shows that toddlers who read picture books about vegetables with their mom and dad actually are more likely to try that new vegetable. So it's those simple daily routines that actually help kids learn to become more adventurous eaters.
That's wonderful. I had never heard the bit about vegetable books. That sounds fun.
It is.
Wonderful. Okay, so that's the first one you said was expose. And how long do you do this before you start moving on to the one of the other E's? Or are you doing these things all simultaneously?
It's really up to the family. You don't have to wait for a specific time, but certainly keep in mind that if you have a very hesitant eater in your family, then we're going to take this process very slowly, step by step. So you might just start with exposure. We never want to put pressure on children to do any more than what they can do on that particular day. But our job is just to gently encourage. So if we move on to the next E, which as you said is exploration, that has more to do with getting our hands involved. And there's lots of good research that shows that kids who explore new food, vegetables included, via tactile exploration, cooking, crafts, and chopping up a bright red beet and putting a little bit of water on it, or better yet, giving a lick and making beet pictures on a piece of paper. All of that is about food exposure and exploration. So they're pretty tightly connected there.
Absolutely. Okay, we had just a little bit of a audio glitch there, but you were talking about using cooking and crafts as your exploration activities. Was there another one we missed in there?
Well, just keep in mind that exposure and exploration are very closely connected. So you might include, as we said, gardening, but you might include cooking. You might include crafts. We were talking about something as simple as chopping up a beet and putting it on a sponge, or better yet, giving it a lick and making beet pictures and beet stamps with it. Those are just one of the ideas that I have in raising a healthy, happy eater. And I have much more in my new book, Adventures in Veggieland.
Oh, that sounds like fun, Adventures in Veggieland. I love that. Okay, perfect. So we've shared to expose children to these vegetables just by having them in their environment, talking about them, reading books, taking them to the farmer's market, grocery store. And then we're talking about getting a little more hands-on with exploring those vegetables and other foods if there's other things that they need as well. So a question here, and maybe this is going into the third E, but how do you know which types of foods to expose them to and explore? Do you try to do everything, or do you just focus on a little bit at a time?
It really depends on the child's learning curve. So typically with the garden variety picky eater, I suggest that parents start with exposure with anything that their family often eats. So I'll say, tell me your 5 top foods. And you know, we all have our favorite foods. Oh gosh, we always have pizza on Friday night. Or when we start gardening, we love to have tomatoes because they come up first and there's so many of them. That sort of thing is what I want to hear from parents. And I'll just suggest that we start with just 1 tablespoon of a new food on the child's plate, but also through activities throughout the day. So, for example, if it's tomato, maybe we're going to start with something as simple as having a tomato rolling contest. You know, set up your tracks for your Matchbox cars or your marble works, but send tomatoes through there. Have some fun with it. And if you think your kid is ready to perhaps taste a tomato, he doesn't have to chew and swallow it right away. Tomatoes are the perfect food to have a squirting contest. So take a tomato and go outside and bite it as hard as you can and see if you can't squirt each other. That's a surefire way to get kids involved because they love to see if they can squirt you with something like a tomato.
I love that. It sounds like the key here is really to make it fun and not stressful.
Always the key. Keeping it fun is the key.
Perfect.
Definitely.
Perfect. All right, if you are watching with us on Facebook Live and you have any questions, go ahead and type those into the comments and we will answer those as we go along. Okay, so we've talked about expose, we've talked about explore, now we're going to talk about expand. So tell us what that looks like, Melanie.
Expand is really what happens after you've implemented the first 2 E's. So first we've started with exposure and then a little bit more exploration, and now we're going to begin to expand what we do with those foods and the types of recipes we cook with them. So in my new book that's coming out in October, but it's available for pre-orders now. Actually, I think we might have the mirror image, but here's Adventures in Veggieland. I don't even have the real book yet. I just have a little card that shows you the cover. But you can find it on my website, melaniepotok.com. And to answer your question a little bit better, expanding means, for example, in my book, I'm going to start you with an activity. Perhaps it's the beet stamp that we talked about. And then we're going to do a little bit of exposure where we start with very simple recipes. And if the best the kiddo can do that day, even if it's a school-age kid, is just chop the beets with some child-safe knives and help you arrange the beets on the platter, that's okay. But slowly we begin to expand what they can do and offer them opportunities for something even more advanced. It might even be a beet smoothie, and making sure that they know that when you put those roasted beets into that smoothie, and all of the other ingredients are going to help it taste really, really good. So one of the things we do in terms of exploration and expansion is we use tiny tasting spoons like professional chefs. We keep those right there on our counter, and we encourage kids to actually take a taste as we cook. It's absolutely fine if they don't like the taste. I always say to the kids that I'm cooking with, it's okay if you don't like it. Let's see what we can do to make it yummy. And maybe we'll add a little bit of salt. That's okay. Or maybe we'll add a little bit more apple juice. Whatever we need so that it is yummy to our taste buds. We've got to taste it a few times to get it to that place. And now we've got a kid tasting foods. And once you have a kid taking tiny tastes, he'll eventually learn to not only accept that food, but it's very likely he'll learn to like it as well.
Very cool. Okay, so the only part that we cut out there was the smoothie part. So you were talking about taking those foods and putting them in smoothies with other foods that they do enjoy so that they don't taste that food as much, correct? And then taking the little tastes along the way to figure out what the good flavor combination is?
Yeah, almost. But the key is that the child is making this smoothie with you. So I'm not saying, and I don't think this is what you were saying, Carrie, either, but I'm not saying to hide the food in the smoothie. I'm saying get them involved.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, if you Google Potok and the Cooking Connection, you'll see the cover story for the April issue of The Leader, which is our American Speech Language Hearing Association's magazine. And I was really honored to be able to write that story. It's all about cooking with kids, especially kids with autism. Strategies in there. It's also available online that help kids expand their repertoire.
Very good. Wonderful. Okay. So those are the 3 E's. We've talked about exposing kids to new food. We've talked about helping them explore them with some more hands-on activities, and eventually expanding what they're able to do. Now, one of the things I really liked that you were saying is talking about meeting the kid where they are that day. So you're going to have good days where they're going to be more tolerant of some of these trials, and you're going to have days when everything sets them off and you can't make any progress. So I want to get your take on this. This is something that I learned for my son who has sensory processing disorder, is you think about it as a bullseye. So right in the middle is their comfort zone. That's where everything's comfortable, nothing's new, nothing's scary. And then right outside that, there's a bigger ring that's just the slightly outside the comfort zone where we try new things and we learn and we grow. And then outside of that is what I call meltdown zone, because that's what happens for my son, where if you push it too hard, then you're going to cause a meltdown and you're going to be done. So is that kind of the same way that you're thinking, is like try to stay in that middle ring when you're introducing new foods?
Absolutely. And always keep in mind that you want to consider the whole child. And whether we have the challenges of sensory processing or whether we are just having an off day in terms of our senses. We all have days like that. Remember, this is a new kid on this day, And just because he was able to take a bite of it yesterday, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be able to do it today. Just our job is to provide opportunities for the kids to interact with the foods and to gently encourage them to do that through play and through fun, like cooking. And actually, Carrie, did you know that there's research that shows that if you present a new food with a smile on your face, the child is much more likely to try it. So there's a little bit of sales 101 in here too.
I love it. I had no idea. That's hilarious. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and move on to the last part of our show. We're going to do some giveaways here in just a minute, so hang tight if you're on Facebook Live with us. But first, we're going to share our favorite resource. Melanie, tell us about your Picky Eater course, which is our favorite resource for the day.
Oh, awesome. I'd love to tell you about this. I have an online course on melaniepotok.com. That's also mymunchbug.com, same website. And I'm so proud of it. It is a 5-hour video course that I did with the co-author of Raising a Healthy, Happy Eater, which is an award-winning book written by me and Dr. Yum, Dr. Namali Fernando. And Dr. Yum and I created a video course for parents, but I've had over 500 speech therapists and occupational therapists and RDs take this course. You can get CEUs for it. Just you'll see that information on the website. But they're taking it because they learn practical strategies to share with parents. So whether you're a parent or you're a speech pathologist, for less than $10 an hour, I'll give you a code to make it less than, you can watch live videos of strategies that are taken from my 2-day course that I teach to professionals. So the code is My Munch Bug 20, MYMUNCHBUG 20. That's going to give you 20% off, which means you can get that course for only $40, and you can share that with friends. So use it as much as you want. Totally fine. I'd love for you to do that.
Perfect. Okay. We'll put that in the.
I call the kids I work with, especially my younger kids, my munch bugs. So that's where that came from.
I love that. All right. So we're going to put that code in the show notes. So if you're watching on the Speech and Language Kids website, you should have that in the notes, or we'll have that available once the recording is up as well. So wonderful. That's the Picky Eater course over at melaniepotok.com or mymunchbug.com. Check that out. And now we are going to do giveaways. We're going to do 3 giveaways today. So the first 2 giveaways are Melanie's 2 books. So what are your 2 books again? Tell everybody so we know what we're playing for today.
Well, I have 4 books that you can find on my website, but today we're going to do the latest. So we have award-winning Raising a Healthy, Happy Eater by Dr. Fernando, Dr. Yum, and me. And we have the new book, which is much bigger than this in real life. I've just got a little card here to hold it for you. It's called Adventures in Veggieland, and it has 101 recipes and activities to help your kiddo learn to love vegetables. It comes out in October, but I'm going to send the winner one today. It'll arrive at their doorstep this fall, but they'll be one of the first people to get it.
Perfect. Okay, so we're doing 2 giveaways for Melanie. We have the 2 books, and then the third winner today is going to get 2 free months in my membership, the Speech Therapy Solution. That is a membership just for speech language pathologists. You're going to get access to training materials, webinars. We are working on getting ASHA CEU approved, so that is coming down the line. And planning materials, you get worksheets you can use in therapy, all kinds of great stuff. So you can check that out over at speechandlanguagekids.com/join. But we're going to give away 2 free months to someone today. So here's how it works. I'm going to ask a question. The first 3 people to answer are going to win. The first 2 will win the books, and the third one will win the 2 free months in my membership. All right, you ready, Melanie?
I kind of want to raise my hand and win, but I guess I can't. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, here's the question if you're watching with us on Facebook Live. Name one way to explore a new food. Remember, we were talking about how exploring is a more hands-on approach. So a hands-on activity you can do with a child to explore a new food. First 3 people to type in an activity are gonna win. All right, Ashley Warren says play with it. And Ali Manahan says cooking. Tiffany Hayworth says visit the farmer's market. Wonderful, thank you ladies. Okay, so Ashley Warren, you're going to win Raising a Healthy, Happy Eater. And Ali Manahan, you're going to win Adventures in Veggie Land. So, Melanie, how do you want them to contact you to get their books?
If you would just contact me through the contact page on my website, or you can message me on Facebook, go to My Munch Bug is my Facebook page, My Munch Bug. Don't use my name. That's just a different page. And I'd be more than happy to correspond with you, get your address, and I'll send it to you right from Amazon.
Perfect. Alrighty. And Tiffany Hayworth, you win the 2 free months in the Speech Therapy Solution. You can email me at carrie@speechandlanguagekids.com. That's CARRIE. And my assistant Kenna will get you all set up with your 2 free months in the membership. All right, and we had a whole bunch of other people chiming in with their answers as well. Wonderful. Someone said present it with a smile. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, thank you all so much for joining us today. And Melanie, thank you. Where can people find more about you and get in touch with you?
Definitely go to melaniepotok.com and you can find my workshops, my seminars. I have a free 6-hour seminar coming up next week in Albany, New York. Ooh. And be sure to follow My Munch Bug on Facebook and all of my other social media. And I look forward to hearing from everybody. Carrie, this has been really fun. I hope we can do it again.
Absolutely, I agree. All right, and if you need help with your tough speech therapy cases or help with planning, head on over to speechandlanguagekids.com/join and get all the information about the Speech Therapy Solution and all that we can do for you there. All right, thank you all so much for coming, and we will see you next week on The Speechie Show. Bye for now. Thanks for joining us today on The Speechie Show. We hope today's tips have helped you feel a little less stressed and a little more confident about your work. If you're looking for more stress busters and confidence boosters, we'd love to have you join us in the Speech Therapy Solution, where you'll get access to a huge library of premium training videos and another library of print and go therapy materials. You can also get help with your tough cases by joining Carrie on the weekly Q&A calls or by posting in the exclusive Facebook group. Plus, group members can join us for a monthly webinar that can be used for continuing education credit. Head on over to speechandlanguagekids.com/join to check out all the amazing benefits of the Speech Therapy Solution membership. Bye for now.